Civil aviation is one of the most regulated industries in the world. Every single technical personnel, equipment, and even airports must be certified and monitored by competent regulatory agencies known as civil aviation authorities. The civil aviation authorities themselves, in turn, are assessed by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, and other international bodies. In Nigeria, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, is the apex regulatory body overseeing the activities of the industry in the country, and at the moment faces a reassessment of the United States Category 1 certification it obtained in August 2010. This review comes with an examination of the regulatory body under what is called the 8 critical elements. How these elements impact on Nigeria's safety rating is the subject of our discussion on the program. Thanks for joining us on Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe-Oketunmbi. Within the boardroom of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, senior officials of the agency and 3 individuals known as advisors are seated. It's the takeoff day of the exercise of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, 3 years after it obtained the United States Federal Aviation Administration Category 1 rating. A foreman team is in the country to conduct this review, but are not before the camera. The rating allows Nigerian carriers to fly directly into continental United States. While Arik Air is the only operator leveraging on the rating, Delta and United Airlines fly into Nigeria. 3 days after the initial takeoff, the review comes to an end, but not a word from the United States audit team. Rather, their observations will be presented to higher authorities at the Federal Aviation Administration back home.
Now to the international scene. Delta Airlines, its flights made an emergency landing at a New York airport during the week after a cockpit indicator signaled a hydraulic system problem, and the aircraft later rolled into a grassy area. Flight 886, which was carrying 118 passengers and 5 crew from an Atlanta airport to New York's LaGuardia Airport, was diverted to John F. Kennedy International Airport because it has longer runways. According to airline officials, it wasn't traveling fast when it happened. There was no report of injuries, and passengers were disembarked and shuttled to a terminal. The twin-engine single-aisle McDonnell Douglas MD-88 left at about 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time and landed at JFK at about 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now to some cheering news about the missing Malaysian MH370. According to reports, a patrol ship searching for the missing passenger jet has detected a pulse signal in the South Indian Ocean. The report says the signal discovered by Chinese vessel Haixun 01 had a frequency of 37.5 kHz per second, the same as that emitted by black box devices. The Joint Agency Coordination Center in Australia, where the search is being overseen, however, says there is no confirmation at this stage that the signals and the objects are related to the missing aircraft. Australian authorities are now considering sending Air Force crews to the area the signal was reported. The signal was detected approximately 1,000 miles, that's about 1,600 kilometers northwest of Perth, 10 hours after news channels in China reported that the 3 Chinese vessels looking for the MH370 had relocated to a new search area north of that designated by the Australian authorities.
It was hard, grueling work every step of the way. First, there were 8 critical elements that had to be closed: primary aviation legislation, specific operating regulation, safety oversight functions, technical personnel qualification, and technical guidance tools. Others were provision of safety, critical information, licensing obligations, surveillance, and enforcement. The industry watchmen also had to recertify a competent flag carrier for the lucrative Lagos-US route after 3 airlines, Arik Air, Virgin Nigeria, and Bellevue Airlines had initially been designated.
Certification means a lot to us. We're very happy about the Aviation Authority, the regulatory authorities, as well as the Ministry of Aviation.
Teams from the U.S. Federal Aviation Agency, the Transportation Security Administration, the U.S. Consulate, and even the FBI made a number of return visits to Nigeria to inspect airports and airlines operating manuals, and also to train personnel and conduct a technical assessment audit. But what was the point of such intense scrutiny and all the hard work crammed into a small space of time?
It's a spot check, and we just take one of the airlines and we look at them, and that's when they come back. There'll be more work to be done and to go more into details.
The reason is simple enough. The International Aviation Safety Assessment Program is carried out by the U.S. Aviation Authority, the FAA, to assess the civil aviation authority of every nation with airlines operating routes into the U.S. The assessment is to confirm the compliance with the international best practices and standards encoded in Annexes 1, 6, and 8 of ICAO's Chicago Convention. The Civil Aviation Authority that meets the stringent requirement is given a Category 1 rating, and its specified carriers can fly directly to the United States while enjoying lower insurance premiums and cheaper aircraft leasing.
And it gives me just a personal pleasure, because we work so closely together to do this, my letter to you to transmit the letter to the Minister from the Federal Aviation Authority granting you Category 1 status.
FAO Category 1 certificate is an enhanced safety rating for Civil Aviation Authority. And by this certification, Nigeria has been put in the Premier League of Aviation. With this great achievement, it means that Nigerian registered aircraft can now fly direct to continental United States of America.
We had a number of joint workshops. Many of you I know are participants in those workshops, and it's been really a team effort by every element of the Nigerian government that has a role in the aviation sector, as well as the private sector here in Nigeria as service providers and as well as operators. And certainly on the U.S. government side, we've had a number of U.S. agencies that have been fundamental in being part of Team U.S. Nigeria, let's get to Category 1.
In just 3 years, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority showed the world that strict compliance with the highest standards is not alien to Nigeria. And with the vigorous leadership of its safety-conscious leader, the country's aviation industry is certain to continue holding its own within the global aviation community.